everyone. And yes, welcome to today's show. Today, I'm interviewing a wonderful person I met several years ago at a PR event, a one for publicity event, learning how to get our names out, learning how to do press releases and that kind of thing. But we met there, and this person just impressed me at the time. I got her business card, and it's been sitting on my shelf waiting for me to get in touch with her so that we could talk, and we finally did that. And I'm so happy that she's available to be with us today. And her name is Spruce Dickerson. Now, Spruce is a professional pageant coach, and she wins on the national level. So not just local, national. She's a speaker. She's authored her own book. She's Miss Plus America Elite. And the piece that really made me interested and kept her on my list is her philanthropy. Truly it is. And so she's going to tell us about that story. Now, she's been interviewed on television and radio and has appeared in lots of magazine articles, which have covered a vast aspects, many aspects of her career. And she's been on the cover of Bold magazine, BBW magazine, and she's been in Simply Me magazine and has editorials to her credit on modeling. So we've got an expert here. Now, Spruce is also a history maker in the National Miss Plus America pageant system. And that's because she didn't win the state crown, but went on to win the highest title. And she's going to tell us about that. She's also been bestowed with the first ever lifetime title of Miss Plus America Essence. Now, the philanthropy, the part that I told you really, truly impressed me. And this is the fact that she started a charity called Flip Flop to the World. And she's collecting flip-flops. You know those things you find in the dollar store, those flip-flops you use when you go to the park or to the swimming pool, the dollar things? Well, what she's done so far is she's helped to donate over 10,000 pairs of flip-flops across the world to places where people are not able or don't have access to shoes. So she's received the award for the Philanthropist of the Year with 2 professional organizations, along with a humanitarian award, and has received proclamations from the governor and senators of Texas and her own town's mayor. You know, she lives what she teaches, and that's one of the things that I saw in her when I first met her. She has a heart. You know, she's from in Texas, and, you know, Texas people have big hearts, and she definitely has one. She has chosen to live by loving and by giving. And her foundational philosophy has helped her conquer life's adversities and to win on the stage of life. So I want you to welcome to my stage, Miss Spruce Dickerson. Hello, Spruce.
Hello, Beverly. Thank you for that intro. That was nice. Thank you. And it's good to be here.
Yes. And as I said, the whole thing about what you do just impresses me in the idea that you have taken your life from one point to another and have shared it. And so the first question is coming in my head. We'll get back to other stuff. But this question is coming in my head. How'd you come up with flip-flops and the idea of flip-flops, you know, and tell us the story behind that.
Well, the nutshell version of it is that I was in the dollar store for the millionth time, and looking at the rack of flip-flops, of $1 flip-flops, and it just came over me. I was just overwhelmed with the thought that for $1 we can buy shoes not just flip-flops, but shoes.
Yes.
And that just overwhelmed me. And my very next thought was, but there's so many people all over this world that can't even afford $1. So I knew right then, in that moment, I had to do something with that. And thus the charity was born.
So it didn't start out being flip-flops to the world. It started out being flip-flops to
Nigeria.
Okay. And so why did you choose Nigeria? What made you look at that country?
There's just a whole beautiful testimony around this charity of just how the favor of the Lord, and I know that He's the one that just dropped the vision into my heart and into my spirit, and He's the one that gave me Nigeria. I have no rhyme or reason why I chose Nigeria. I say it just fell out of the sky into my lap, right?
Okay.
And I'm a big player on words, so that's how the flip-flop came. Flip-flop to Nigeria, like you're flip-flopping to,
Yes.
But Nigeria just fell out of the sky, and so then it's like, okay, I have a name, I have a country.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Okay.
And, I had no clue how to begin a nonprofit, but I learned and I researched as I went, and just one step at a time. And then the doors opened to make a connection in Nigeria, which is just a whole nother.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. How did you make the connection on the other end? Did you meet another charity over there, or was there somebody you connected with? How did that happen?
Well, being that I was competing in Plus Pageantry, I met a woman in Nigeria who lives in Nigeria. She's from there. She lives there, born and raised in Nigeria. And she was the national winner for her Plus pageant in Nigeria.
Okay.
So we just began talking. I think maybe she found me and on Facebook, and we just began talking. And so it clicked. I'm like, no, wait, she's from Nigeria. Okay, I have this charity that has just been born into my spirit, and I've chosen Nigeria. She's from Nigeria. Okay, this is a little weird, but I'm knowing what's going on.
Okay.
So anyway, we communicated. I never said anything to her, but just, in my mind was thinking about that. Anyway, and unbeknownst to her, I was interviewing her also, thinking,
Okay.
is this my connection? And it turned out that her ministry is orphanages. She loves the little children, and she volunteers, and that was her platform in pageantry was the orphanages. And I'm like, this is beautiful.
This is perfect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how the connection came about. And for 5 years, I shipped to her, and she distributed to not only the orphanages, but to the poor villages and schools and nursing homes.
Okay.
So
now, do you do more than just flip-flops, or are there other shoes you're able to do, or is it just flip-flops?
Just flip-flops.
Just flip-flops.
Exactly. There are other charities that do shoes and whatnot, and they have a system and what have you, but that was the vision that was given to me, was flip-flops.
Yeah.
And I want for everyone to be able to be involved.
Yes, and I think about it. So okay, sand and the terrain and all of that is good for flip-flops. You don't have a bunch of sand in your shoes. I don't know why that came into my head, but that's the idea for me. All right, well, good. And we'll come back to this later so we can tell people how they can help you with this charity and how they can donate or send you shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's get back to, how did you just become interested in modeling and going into the pageant piece? Some people, did you do it from childhood as a little kid? How does that happen?
Well, speaking as a child, Mother and I would watch the Miss America pageant every year together, and it was a special time. And as we watched and continued every year, we would get better and better and be able to choose the winners. So that was exciting. So it kind of began there. I think I used to pin like a towel to my back and pretend that I was, Miss America. So I think it was planted in me, at an early age. But a few years ago, actually about 10 years ago, I had I guess a life transformation. I got to the point to where I realized that life was passing me by, and I had these dreams and desires and passions that were in my heart that I wanted to live. And so I just decided that I would not let life pass me by, that I would jump on and just try my best to start living those passions. And so I was doing some research for modeling, for plus size modeling. And that is when the Texas Plus America pageant fell into my lap.
Now, did you start modeling before you did
Yes.
this? So you researched modeling and you were modeling, and then you found out about Miss Plus America.
Well, it all happened about the same time.
Oh, okay.
So pageantry and modeling, plus modeling really kind of began at the same time. So I worked both modeling and pageantry in tandem.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so you researched the modeling. I mean, you did, and you started modeling, and you researched the Miss Plus America pageant. So how did you get involved in the pageant? Did you just, does a person just go in and put in their application and do? And you had you had never done pageants before.
Never.
Right?
Never.
So when you were getting this started, it was like, it's like in your mind, was it, well, I can do this. This is not hard. This is so let's go back to you and your mom. I mean, you all were watching the Miss America pageant, and if I remember correctly, you said you all were picking winners.
Yes.
So
yes.
How did that help you as far as doing this pageantry?
Well, Beverly, I don't know that I gave it much thought.
Okay.
When the Texas Plus America pageant just fell into my lap, at first I was, skeptical as well. I think we should be, because you had to pay a registration fee, fill out the application and apply. And so my first thought was, it's a scam. They just want my money, and then they'll leave town. But I thought, why not take a chance on this? Because on the other side, on the flip side, that if this is true and this is real, what a great opportunity. And since, I'm in the mindset of, let's live life. Let's live my passions. So I took a chance and paid that registration fee, and it's one of the best decisions I have made in my life, because it's led me to where I am now. So, but I do think, that you mentioned it, back when I was a little girl watching the Miss America pageant, I don't know, I think that there was, things being instilled in me, maybe skills being instilled in me. But again, I didn't really think about that. I just took one step at a time, and I observed, I did, my research, and I learned. And that's the whole process. For me, that was the process. For me, life is a journey, and pageantry is a beautiful journey. Because, while yes, you want that crown, that's why you compete. Well, it's not the only reason you compete. For me, it wasn't competing for the crown. That wasn't my just ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is I wanted to grow me. I wanted personal growth. I wanted to develop skills to where I would be able to pour into others, and just things that I've learned in my life and through my life's journey, I wanted to be able to give to people. So I saw pageantry as a tool to grow me and help me learn public speaking, help me to be able to speak, help me not to be scared on stage in front of people, organize my thoughts. So it really was a learning tool, and ultimately God rewarded me with the highest title in the national pageant system.
Well, when we go back and I think about your childhood and watching the pageant shows, one of the things I know is that you never forget anything. Our subconscious and our conscious minds are always recording everything that goes in our lives. And when I'm helping people make a decision about, well, what do I want to do? Or, what's my life's desire? One of the things I say is, what did you do as a child? What was the thing you loved to do as a kid? What was it that you enjoyed? And like for you, it was, okay, that pageant thing. We would watch the shows and critique the what I want to call it, the talent, the swimsuit contest. And just getting off topic a little bit, I was talking a young man, he's 17, and he said, oh yeah, I'm going to be in the Mr. Christmas tree contest. And I said, what? I said, yeah, in Frisco area, they got a Mr. Christmas tree in the schools enter, and he's going to be in it. And I said, well, what do you do? I said, we even have a swimsuit contest. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, yes, they have a swimsuit contest and a dress contest, and they've got to answer a question. He said, it's kind of a parody. I said, no. I said, in reality, no, you all are being prepared. You just don't know it yet. Right? But that idea of, like you said, you learn public speaking, you learn, even how to dress, and for women, the makeup and the hair and all of those things that go into creating you and making you the best person you are. That every little thing that you do is recorded, and your subconscious goes, oh yeah, I know how to do that, right? I learned to do that some other time. Or the idea of going into the career that you want, or that makes you happy, that really explodes you as a person. And obviously this has just brought out that inner person of you. People go, oh, I'd like to be on a cover of a magazine. Well, have you done the things you needed to do in order to be there? Right. Have you researched these things? Now, you were telling me before we were on air, it took you 4 times before you got there. Let's talk a little bit about that in that contest.
Yes. Well, so I competed in the Texas Plus America pageant system 3 times. So I competed 3 years at my state pageant, and I never won. I placed in the top 5, but I never won. So back to what I was saying a few minutes ago is that my pageant journey was not about the crown. And I've developed a motto that it's not about the crown, it's about the journey. Because that's exactly what my experience was, and that's exactly what my journey was. And so I wasn't really concentrating on, I have to have a crown, I have to win. No, my journey was, self-improvement and bettering myself and learning. So, for 3 years, I just stayed the course. I walked in faith. I walked by faith that, Lord, if you have the crown for me, then it will happen. Because I've learned what, I've practiced, I've done what I needed to do in order to compete. So the second part to that, in my heart and in my mind is Lord, if it's meant to be, then you will put the crown on my head, so I can just bring my best. That's all I can do. for 3 years, it wasn't meant to be. But I'm like, okay, Lord. But I had opportunity then to go in that same year, at the third year in that same year, to go to nationals. I had opportunity to go to nationals as a delegate at large and compete on the national stage.
So delegate at large is like a walk-on in football or basketball. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And so I competed at nationals, and we crowned 3 divisions: Miss, Mrs., and Ms. And then we crowned elite, which is the highest scoring contestant out of all the ladies competing. And so then I was crowned elite.
Awesome.
So my journey of faith walking and just, you know, just believing and just knowing that if it's meant to be, it'll be. But I have to do my part. I
was just getting ready to say, we still, even though we have faith that things are going to happen, we still have to walk the walk. We still have to show that we do, I don't want to say deserve it, that we desire it. And that we still have to show that we're willing to do what's necessary in order to make it happen. So many people go, well, I applied, or I got to the first level, but it just, and you know, I just go back to the excuses that people have. And like you said, it's not about the crown. So many people, it's, I can't wait till I get there. I can't wait till I get there. Or I can't wait, well, when in high school, I can't wait till graduation. Right?
Yeah.
And then graduation comes and 50 years later, but it's like, please understand, everyone, it is about the journey.
Yes.
Because I go back to, in high school, it was getting ready for picnic day. Let me make it a simple one. Picnic day, going to the school picnic. Well, you were planning what you were going to wear. You were trying what kind of shoes you're going to put on, how you're going to comb your hair, how you're going to do this. Well, what we're going to do at 10 o'clock in the morning, or what time we're going to leave. It's the planning and the journey. Because the day you get to the picnic, next thing you know, you're on your way home.
Yes, and it's all over.
And it's all over. Yeah, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, and the thrill is no more.
Right, but if you enjoy each step of the journey, it's fun. It's like I'm planning my first boondocking trip. And for those of you who don't know what boondocking is, camping, and there's no water, there's no sewer, there's no bathrooms. You're out in the wilderness on your own. And it's going to be a 2-week trip. Well, it's not till January, but I'm planning it. What do I need? How do I do it? How many batteries I'm taking my camper. I'm not going to be in a kit. But the idea is, again, I am enjoying the journey, and I haven't been video logging it, so I've got to start doing that. Yeah. Because it's like each piece is going to make it happen. Just like for you, each piece of doing the research, trusting that they weren't going to run away with your money, trusting that this was really true, allowed you to do that. Yeah. So again, I love the idea that you brought up. It was about the journey and not the destination.
Absolutely. And whether it's the journey is across the board for life. It's not just pageantry. It's within, the journey is within every aspect of life. So in life, wherever we are in life, enjoy that journey. Sometimes the journey is not so pleasant, so there's not that enjoyment, but there are things in the journey to learn. There are blessings in the journey. There are pearls of wisdom to glean from our journeys.
And that's a question that we should ask ourselves a lot of times. It's like when something good happens, or even when we're struggling, it's what's the lesson in this? What am I learning? I'm in pain right now. I may be hurting. I may be in a situation I don't want to be in, but what can I learn? It's hard to ask that question.
Yeah.
What am I learning? What is the lesson in this? As well as working it out. It's like, how do I get out of this? How do I resolve this? All of these are learning things that help us in the future.
Exactly.
So I understand that you've got a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about, well, let's not so much yet about the book. Let's talk about why you chose to write a book.
Oh my goodness. And I'm so excited about my book. I'm so excited. It's not any grand or large.
Okay, let's stop that part. It's grand, it's glorious, and you've got a good story to tell.
Okay.
All right.
So I wasn't gonna say because it's not very thick.
Well, that's okay. There's books that are 10 pages long that are awesome.
Okay.
All right. So
I am so excited about my book. It basically just it's my inspiration, my encouragement to others and for others of really just how to just travel life, and speaking of journeys, of how to journey life. We have our ups and our downs, we have our valleys, we have our mountaintops, and so what this book is, it's that I just share my experiences of how I learned to travel my journey so far, and how to live through a lot of sorrow, a lot of heartbreak. I've had a lot of that in my life, losing loved ones, and caregiving and nursing, taking care of loved ones. So, but it's okay. It's okay, because there's blessing in everything. And so basically that's what the book is. It's just to encourage others to live life, no matter what, just to continue to live life and not let life live you.
So no matter what, if they're in the middle of difficult times, if they're in the middle of, as you said, losing loved ones, or, having just feeling like everything is falling down around them, this is a book that will encourage them and inspire them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's inspirations for living. That's what it is.
Okay. And what do you call these things that you're doing? Something about notes?
Notes?
Like love notes or something like that?
Oh yeah. Well, it's a love book.
Okay.
A love letter.
Okay. All right.
But it's my first book, and I've really enjoyed putting it together, because it's one whole chapter is just quotes, personal quotes. Everything in it is personal. I don't quote anyone else. I don't borrow from anyone else's thoughts. These are all personal thoughts and sayings and quotes from Spruce. I do put scripture in there, but it's scripture that is personal to me. Mm-hmm. Scripture that has just really encouraged my heart, encouraged me to keep living and keep searching, and to keep walking. So yeah, and like I said, my first book, I look at it as a love letter to others.
Okay.
It's not for me. This book is not for me, and it's not about me. This book is about you, about others, and it's my love letter to you.
So what's the title of your book?
Well, it's Spruced Up: Inspirations for Living.
Wow, I like that. I like that. Wonderful. I love puns and play on words, and that is fantastic.
Will that work?
Yeah, spruced up
Inspirations for living.
inspirations for living. I love it. That's cute. And the pageant piece works perfectly, right? Because you're all spruced up when.
Exactly. That's kind of my moniker, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my email address. And so it just works across the board. And so for my first book, I thought, well, that works too, because I want everyone to be spruced up.
Yep, yes. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's mental, emotional, physical, because your book, from
Yeah.
what I understand, is going to be used for encouragement, enlightening, uplifting. So excuse me, I hit the mic. But and helping them get through those dark days. It
Yes.
would be a perfect book for someone to give to someone if they don't, because a lot of times we want to help people, but we don't know how. We want to lift them up, and we don't know how. And I
Yes.
think this book would be a perfect book to give to someone that is experiencing a loss or is just down. They lost their job, their husband, their family, their mother, their father. They're just, or they just are in a depressed state.
Right.
And it just sounds like one for me that would be a perfect gift. And as you mentioned, it's a small book, but it's going to be it's a powerful book for people. Now, yeah.
Big things come in small packages.
All right. So, your book is about love life, living life, and giving life, is what
Yes.
you've said to me, through sorrow and heartbreak. And I love that, because people need that in their lives. They need someone, and a lot of times they need someone they have never met or they don't know, and they can hear them, because sometimes you can't hear family.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. That is. I mean, it's just like kids. Kids, they don't want to listen to parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all been kids. Did we listen to our parents all the time? No. But, and it does. I think just having an outsider, I do. I think, we think outsiders know more than, what our family does, or, but it's important to give back. It's important to share our experiences. And that's one thing, that's a foundation, just as you have mentioned, my love, live, and give. That's a foundation for my life, because I really truly feel that those three things wrapped up into the one thing is what will give us a beautiful life, is what will help us to maneuver through life. It will give us hope in life. If we love, if we live and give, it's not about us. It's
Right.
about everyone else. And we need to give ourselves and give our experiences and what we have to other people. If we do that, we'll have a beautiful life.
Absolutely, because a lot of people don't realize that the more you give, I don't want to say out of obligation. I mean, after a while, yeah, we do get tired of giving some things, but when we just truly give because we want to, because we have this desire to give, then it really does help us internally, emotionally, and mentally.
Yes, it does. It's healing.
Yes.
Giving is healing.
It's like forgiveness. People say, well, I can't. I said the forgiveness isn't for that other person that you're forgiving. It's for you. Right? And so when you're forgiving, right, you're giving, you're just saying, okay, I know this happened, and so, I forgive you. And a lot of times it sticks in your throat when you say, I forgive you. But even the fact that I've forgiven people that have never heard me say, I forgive them.
Exactly.
You know, they may have passed, or they're in a part of the world, or I'll even dare say don't want to speak to me. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
But the idea
Right.
is, I forgive you, but you also learn to forgive yourself. You learn to forgive yourself quite a bit. Okay.
Yes, exactly. And just like what you said, it, it doesn't always have to be a verbal speaking to someone and to say, I forgive you. Everything, and another thing, everything in life, what I've learned and what I've boiled down, I have a big funnel here mentally, a funnel, and I put everything into that funnel and funnel things down to a bottom line. This is another bottom line of mine, another foundation. It's a matter of the heart, because in everything in life comes from the heart. So with forgiveness, it has to begin in the heart. It's not just words.
Right.
Because if you just say the words and it's not coming from your heart, then it means nothing.
Nothing. No.
And what does it do for you? Nothing.
Nothing.
You know,
because you're still harboring that feeling.
Exactly. That bitterness.
Yes.
Yeah. So it has.
You'll know you've really forgiven when you can talk about it and there's no emotion behind it.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. So that's very important.
So tell me, a lot of people out here, you know, talk about, I've got a book in me, or somebody told me I ought to write a book. What would be your advice to someone who is thinking of writing a book, or, you know, just has an idea? What would be your advice to that potential writer person?
So if they're thinking about writing a book or has an idea, the first thing I would say is just start taking notes. Every thought that you have, write it down, log it, keep a file on your computer, and you know, a file of just thoughts, book ideas. I have so many files of thoughts and ideas. But that's one thing that I learned, and one thing I think is very important is to write everything down, because you never know what's in your future. You don't know what's around the corner, and there could be then that perfect time when it's meant to be right around the corner, and it's like, oh yes, I have the perfect idea for that, the perfect thought. I wrote that down. So then you go back and retrieve it in your files, and then you can start developing it. That's the most important thing that I have found. So
in other words, just start writing.
Just start
writing. Have a journal if you're not near a computer, or the other one is on your phone. You've got a voice recorder. Voice record it and make sure you label it. Thoughts on whatever the topic is. That's what I do. I put them in the topic thing. Okay, this is on this.
Yes.
And put it in a file or in the recording that, and then you'll have it.
Yes.
There was one time I was on a plane and I didn't have a journal, nothing. I found an envelope and I wrote. It was just about the clouds. We were winding in and out of clouds to avoid a storm, but the clouds were so thick. It was like what did I call it? It was like an iceberg. The cloud and just the terminology, and every now and then I find it and I go, oh yeah, that was really, I don't have a use for it yet unless I create a poem or a short story from it. But all of those things you can pull those things out and start doing, or start blogging.
Exactly.
Anything.
And so I think a person who has the thought or the idea of, I want to write a book, I want to, do some type of writing. I think a person with that passion and that desire, then there is something inside of them that they want to communicate to others.
Yes.
So it kind of starts there also. And I think a person, if they want to write a book, is to sit with themselves. To sit and just where it's quiet and close your eyes and just go deep within your soul. Go deep.
I like that.
Find out exactly what's stirring in there? What has caused you to want to write a book? What is the purpose of that book? What and who do you want to reach with that book? Because I really, truly feel writers want to inspire others, or give entertainment to others. But
that's good.
Yeah.
So, going on to other things, so you are a coach for people who want to be in pageants.
Yes.
So what got you into the coaching piece? And I see it's for children and adults, all the way up to adults?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So that came out of my pageantry, of course.
Mm-hmm.
When my pageantry competition, competing season was over, then it segued into coaching. And coaching has just been a tremendous blessing. I cannot tell you of just the delight and the joy that it gives me to my heart. But I coach children old enough to understand what pageantry is about.
Okay.
And then, on up. There is no age limit.
So if I wanted to compete in Miss Old Age America, no, it's Miss Senior America or something like that. I know there's an older pageant out there somewhere.
Yes, they do. They have pageants. They have pageants for everybody, for every age.
Okay.
So pageantry is not out of the question for anyone.
Okay.
So definitely, Beverly. Now that we're talking about it, then hello.
Hello. We'll talk about it offline. Anyway, because it'll be somebody will say, okay, she's doing something else, right? Okay. But okay.
And that's okay.
Yes. And so you coach via Skype or in person. Okay.
Yes.
And where do you're in Houston area?
No, I'm in Austin.
You're in Austin. Okay. All right. Okay, good. That's only 3 hours. Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so what's the most important thing to you in pageantry coaching?
Oh, there's so many things, but I think the big thing is, and I am a big proponent in, we have to believe in ourselves. If we don't and can't believe in ourselves, then we can't make changes. But a second component to that is commitment. I believe that a woman has to make a commitment to herself and a commitment to the journey. There's journey again.
Yes.
A commitment to the process. Okay. Because if we don't, and if we're not committed, then we're just going through the motions. Pageantry, just on the surface, people looking, on the surface, on the outside of pageantry, they can surmise it and sum it up as being vain and, beauty and whatever. There's a component of that to it, but pageantry is so much more than that, Beverly.
Okay.
Pageant is deep. Pageant is educational. Pageantry is educational. So when I coach, and as a coach, and I don't know, other coaches how they coach, but I as a coach, I start in the heart. Can I even say go even deeper to the soul? I want to start within and build out. Because for me, it's not about the hair and the heels, but it's about the heart. Okay. And because that's my experience.
Well, I think that shows in everything, part of the pageant itself. It shows in that person as they're competing. Yeah. So that's really important. Well, wonderful. So as we wrap up, tell me about it. You got any future plans that you want the audience to know about? I think by the time this is out, your book should be available. So we'll be putting down at the bottom of the screen the link to get to your book, and that kind of thing. But what's your plans for the future, and what would you like to leave the audience with?
Well, future plans, I do. I take day at a time, one day at a time, step at a time. But I do have goals that I want to build my speaking platform and want to have more of a presence on a broader scale for my speaking. And so if anyone needs a speaker to speak on just what we've been talking about today, about living life with hope, living life with passion, just living life. And let me come and share my experience and share my joy of how to do that, how to win in life, how to live a beautiful life, because the Lord has given me that. And it would be wrong of me not to give that back, not to share that with people. So if anyone needs a speaker, I would love the opportunity. But to build on that and to build my coaching, my pageant coaching, and to go into life coaching also. But I want to say, though, Beverly, that my pageant coaching is also life coaching.
Yeah, because you're building from the inside out. Yes.
Right. In the heart, working with the heart and the soul. And so it is life coaching also. But then also to continue to grow my charity. This year I rebranded to Flip Flop to the World. And each year will be a different country of focus. Okay. So not just Nigeria. That was for 5 years. Okay. And we collected and distributed over 10,000 pairs of flip flops. But this year rebranded Flip Flop to the World, and different country of focus every year. And this year I chose Mexico as our country of focus. So I will be delivering 2,979 pairs of flip-flops to Mexico.
As of when will you be doing that?
In December.
Okay.
We'll be going to Mexico in
December of 2017, y'all. So you know.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to be, and folks, you're seeing at the bottom of the screen how to get a hold of Spruce. We've got Facebook.com, and she's Coach Spruce there. And then flipfloptotheworld.org, not .com, it's .org, flipfloptotheworld.org. And I'll put the other Twitter and your Instagram things. They'll be at the bottom of the screen here. Okay. Well, I have enjoyed our time together. And I thank you for taking a second time. Guys, we were recording before and it wasn't recording. So this is the second time, and I appreciate her saying, yes, I'll come back. So we'll record it because this is really good. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. And I sign out as you have believed, let it be done to you. And it is so.